All right, George. All right.
Hola, 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 mi gente. Welcome, welcome, welcome to. Is it Wednesday, Lily?
Something like that.
Okay, Woman Crush Wednesday. How are you feeling, everybody? I'm just here sitting in my divine masculine, as you saw in my ads, and this is how we're gonna do it tonight. Okay, yeah, yeah. Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. Hope everybody is well. You guys already know, but in case you don't, you can support the show with a Cash App. I got a very generous Cash App behind the scenes from a lady. Okay, a doctor. So salute to you, ma'am. I'm not going to shout your name out because, like I said, Cash App, that's where you can be discreet unless you leave me a note and you're like, hey, Jen, let them know I'm sponsoring you. If not, it is privacy over there at the Cash App. So thank you for that, ma'am. I hope you got the heart that I sent you back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's always sweet when I get a Cash App behind the scenes when I'm off air. It shows that you saw the replay and you was like, yeah, this show deserves some support. So salute to you for that. If you don't give a damn what other people see where your money goes, feel free to super chat us. We have a spicy, spicy night tonight because we're talking all about masculinity and femininity. And so many people think, you know what I mean? Everybody has their own definition of that. And we'll go through what we think it is, and also mute your mics, guys, until you talk, and then we'll go through what everybody else thinks. Chat, you can holler back, you can clap back, let me know what you're thinking on tonight. Okay, yeah, welcome back, George. We haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to be here. And I saw a few of the videos from you guys out when you all were out in Vegas and enjoyed it. And
Yes.
no thing, I got to tell you, seeing two moons over Las Vegas is forever seared in my mind. I'm like, oh God, But anyway, man,
I don't know, no Saint. They talk about your booty a lot. Your booty is the star of Vegas. Although a lot of other things went down, your ass was the star.
Right. I
yeah.
done got text about it.
For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Lily and I did 2 cooking shows while we were out in Vegas, and we did it in our lingerie, in our unmentionables. And No Saint was nice enough to join us and walk around in his thong in the kitchen. So if you haven't seen our cooking shows, they are in the gallery. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Chat, hold us down. Please introduce yourselves, panel. Unfortunately, I don't know where your names went. I didn't take time to figure it out. Today's Sorry. But let the people know where to find you. And also, if you're watching, we're gonna give this show about an hour, and then we're all running over to Lily's page, like we ran to No Saint's page last night, because we are spreading the love. Okay, I know y'all comfortable on the block, but we must spread the love. So we'll be doing after shows on the rest of the panels channels, and that's how we're going to do it. Okay, Lily.
Mhm. Well, I am Lily for YB Limited. That's the word. That's the letter Y. The letter B is in boy, in the word limited. YB Limited. And you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And I will drop the link to the after show in the chat. All right. So it'll be in the chat, and I'll drop it before the show ends as well.
And I am music producer and musician Heron DeMarco. You can catch me here as Heron Dr. Marco, and you can catch me as Dangerous DeMarco on the IG, on the Threads, and you can catch me as Heron DeMarco under Apple Music and Spotify.
I am Saint. I am No Saint. I am Saint No Saint. You can catch me on IG, Saint No Saint, YouTube, Saint No Saint. You can catch me on TikTok, just No Saint. And that's all I got to say about that.
And I am George, the second colonizer on the channel. So, it's like the second, and No Saint, of course, is the original, of course, and everything. So I've got a YouTube channel coming it's called Without Fear or Favor, and we are in the truth telling business on that channel. So it's going to be kind of a social commentary, political commentary. I'm actually going to do some interviews with folks. Also, like knife reviews. I've got plenty of knives to review. I think it's going to be kind of a cornucopia. What I'm going to do, essentially, Jen, is I'm going to kind of narrow down my focus, because you can't be all over the map on these things. So, yeah, but that's kind of
Good. Well, congrats. We'll be looking out for that.
Congratulations,
and if you need...
No Saint, to your channel, hitting 50 subs. Good job, man. Good job.
Yeah. All right, guys. Is there any I don't have any fluff tonight. If you guys don't, we could jump right into this topic tonight. I find this topic very intriguing. I think you guys got the message right. I can take this off. I don't know how you guys do it, but let me. Okay. All right. I feel better. Now I can breathe. All right, guys. I have to return that bow tie. And no, it's not. It doesn't belong to a FOI. All right, guys. So moving
I was
on.
gonna ask if it was an NOI, like if it was a gift from Farrakhan or like, but no, I'm glad you cleared that up.
We wear pink bow ties.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It is not. It's not pink. It's like lilac, like my shirt.
Oh, okay.
Okay, guys. Okay,
It's
guys.
more like a
Okay.
peachy hue.
There you go. There you
Inside-
go.
Inside joke.
All right. Before we get started, I know George said you have to leave. You can't hang with us tonight. So you can go first and then we could get into our stuff.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. You said you were only going to let it run an hour. I might be able to hang for an hour with you guys and go through that.
Okay.
Okay. But what I wanted to say, and it's kind of great that I was afraid that you were kind of like, you know how it is, you've already covered a topic and then somebody wants to talk about it 2 or 3 days later. But the Vegas show, I watched it all the way through. Jen?
Which one? You mean Access Vegas?
Access Vegas.
No, we could talk about that, honey. We could talk about that all month long.
Yeah, that one, Jen, I saw the first part of your show last night where you were saying, hey, I kind of thought it was a racial thing, blah, blah, blah. And at first I was like, oh, is Jen being a little bit too sensitive? And so I watched it all the way through, backed it up, replayed it, blah, blah, blah. No question about it. It was racial, especially the comment where he said, I've got some toilets for you to clean. And I thought, oh, fuck. I was like, why don't you just come on out and call her, you know?
Right. Right.
And I was like, and my biggest disappointment was Michael Sartain or Sartain, whatever his name is. And
Michael Sartain.
Did not fucking check him on that. And Rolo and Michael, if you're listening to this, you two are a bunch of pieces. You two are douche nozzles for not doing it. You fucking called her out and for not doing something, and you didn't do anything to him. So, and at the end, I figured out what the fucking problem was. They're going on his show. So they were sucking his dick, is what they were doing.
Go ahead, George.
Him fucking do what he wanted.
Go ahead, George.
Yeah, so, I got, as you can tell, I got upset because I don't like to see fair play. Because when it first started out in the beginning, you know, you made your comment that you make here all the time about the feminine energy and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he comes back at you, and then you said, hey, you know, and then he started ramping it up. And Jen, I'm going to say this. I think he was trying to set you up for a Donovan Sharp moment.
Okay.
I think he could have been looking for that, hoping that you would break down, lose your cool, and go off on him, really go off on him. And I was thinking, good girl, you held it back. In fact, you didn't, I mean, I was really just thinking about it now, how unfairly I thought you were treated there. That just bothered me. Just really fucking bothered me.
Well, thank you.
I'm not trying to, you know me. I'm not up here to kiss your ass or anybody's ass up here. I know when right's right, wrong's wrong. So, and Haran, you made a comment a while back about Rolo making racial comments and stuff. And I was kind of like, where are you getting that from? And then I saw it on that show. He made the comment about there's 2 women here wearing hoop earrings. And I noticed it was one. And I was like, what's he talking about here? Was it the black girl sitting next to you? Was the other one?
I don't remember who else had hoops on. I really don't remember. There were so many women in there. I couldn't tell you what any of them were wearing or whatever. But first of all, thank you for that. Thank you. And thank you for also acknowledging that I kept my cool. I could have went off. Yeah. And it's obvious all them guys are in bed together, which is fine. I don't care. You know, I could hold my own, whether it's here or elsewhere. Right. But it was a very racist statement. And had I clapped back, you know what I mean, they would have been on me like, oh, look, she's being racist. Because, you know, that's the game these men play here, which is a great segue for tonight, you know, feminine versus masculine, because I've been accused of being masculine, and I'll get into that whole spiel. But you know, thank you for acknowledging that, because you're right, George. I'm not sensitive about race. You know, I'm very brutally honest about race, all race and ethnicity. I've always been that way. But when I started realizing was you're not the only one, other people started contacting me about that statement. You're not the only one. I got DMs and they were calling him racist and all kinds of things. And I was like, wow, was that? I was like, wow, was that racist? But what I said on Access Vegas was the absolute truth. He's a peon to me. I know he thinks his tax bracket makes him, you know, muy macho. But, you know, I'm very good at removing material things from somebody and just breaking them down, you know what I mean, to the smallest frame. And the whole time, the energy he was giving me was very feminine. And we've seen feminine guys appear before, and we see how I react to them. But I really did see him as a peon. I know they were sucking him because, you know, he's a millionaire according to him, and they wanted to be on the show. And everybody's really chased, like, clout is a hell of a drug. Forget cocaine. Clout is a hell of a drug, where you do see men acting like female groupies. Like, they treat certain people in these YouTube spaces like they're rock stars, and they are the groupies waiting backstage, shaking their tits, waiting to suck a nut. That is how these men are acting on these spaces. That's why I say the social media is the effeminization of the new modern man. It is not the LGBTQ. It is clout. It is the drug of clout. And you can see men that you would think could hold their own, say like a Michael Sartain and a Rolo or whatever, and they'll be sucking a guy like that and checking me, although he was the racist one. Now, I did see Rolo was like, oh, hey, you're going to get me. He made a mention. I don't remember verbatim, so I'm going to paraphrase. But after he said that statement, and he said it twice, I did see Rolo say something along the lines of, you're going to get me canceled or shut down or whatever. So that tells me that Rolo knew that the guy had went too far. But, you know, you're going to suck the biggest dick in the room. I don't have 4 million followers. Not that Adam has them either, because he lied. He's like, he's a sidekick on Valuetainment. It really belongs to the other guy. Right. But, you know, I didn't know him from a can of paint. That was the first time I set eyes on that man. And then after you get the DMs and, you know, the comments like, oh, Jen, that's such and such from such and such. Lily was like, I knew he looked familiar. That's the guy from blah, blah, blah. There's YouTube, and then there's the real world. And I didn't know that man. I didn't know the clown sitting next to me in the Tony Montana suit. I didn't know these guys, but they think because they're popular online, everybody knows them. I had no clue till after, but a lot of people did hit me up. So I felt like, even though that didn't offend me, because, you know, you have to be somebody I respect or love to really, really affect me deeply when you say something derogatory. If I don't know you from a can of paint, if I think you're a peon, if you're giving me feminine energy as a man, nothing you can say is going to penetrate. Right. However, you know, I did have to say something for the people that were Latin and were offended. And the women that, you know, contacted me and were offended, and my male friends who were offended by what he said. And that's why I'm addressing it. Not because it affected me, but just because it didn't affect me, it would be unfair for me to ignore it, because people were offended. It was a very racist statement, very racist, without a doubt. And he knew what he was saying, right?
Oh, yeah. You know, and that's why I was saying, when he said that, and I got to thinking about it, and I said, you know, he would not never admit it, but he probably watched a few of your shows. He probably saw the whole Donovan Sharp and the lead attorney thing. He probably saw all that, and he thought, I'm going to provoke her, because he was like going out of his way to take you on. I was like, you're sitting over there being quiet, and he says, and I want your number and your number, and well, I don't know about your number,
right?
You know, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? You know,
yeah, and he was targeting me, and you know, a lot of people said it. People I respect in this game, they were like, he was obviously intimidated because he kept bringing it back to me, and I wasn't letting him get over it. But I wouldn't be shocked if he watched my show before. I don't have 4 million followers, but people know who the fuck I am. Not only that, he was in bed with the so-called Donovan the Sal Sharp as well, and now he's beefing with him. So these guys, you know what I mean? It's like these guys know who's who, though they would deny it. That Adam character even went to my channel while he was on air, on that show, to go to my channel. So yeah, he was definitely targeting me. But listen, I could dish and I can take it. But I did feel bad that people were reaching out to me about that statement, and Rolo and Michael did let them slide. Now Rolo and Michael have never disrespect me to my face. Now, of course, they talking shit behind my back. We do the same thing though, so I don't care about that. However, the hoop earring thing, I do recall Rolo saying on past shows, the bigger the hoop, the bigger the hole. Now, on that night, he did say 2 women have hoops here. And if you remember, I asked him, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I asked him, what does that mean? He didn't respond. Because had he responded, then I would have replied. But I did ask, what does that mean? He didn't respond, so I kept it pushing. But I went there because I was invited not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I tell you what, I hope they've got enough character to invite you back. And I hope they have enough of character to apologize to you for on air for the way they treated you or allowed you to be treated. And the thing was, Jen, I know I've never met you face to face, and as best as it can be in this relationship here, I consider you my friend. Okay. And I hope the same is from you. But and so it was like when I see my friend being jumped on, it was like, there's some things that I saw you do on there that off camera, I'll tell you, hey, look, next time I saw this, don't walk into that trap. Kind of thing. But that's for a topic for another day. But yeah, and No Saint and Haran, it was a good thing you were asleep, because I remember you were talking about you slept through a lot of it. Because the parts I saw, I don't know how you could have kept yourself together, dude. I would have been out there with that
actually, when she went off, that's when I woke up, because it was extremely boring prior to that. And when it started getting heating, I told her, I said, I knew it was coming. I knew he was going to say that, because that is the de facto response when a lot of white men are being attacked or they're being chin checked too much. They go to race, because within that method, it's to remind the other ethnicity or the other gender that you're here and I'm here. So it was never shocking. Right. Go ahead, No Saint.
No, I was gonna say it's also an easy button push. It's not that hard. It can be, not to Jen, but it can be a scab that you can peel off rather easily to some people.
Right.
Yeah.
And to your comment, George, about them apologizing, that's not going to happen. They might invite her back, but that's not going to happen because they're a slut to their chat. So they have to, appease their chat, and their chat is all about attacking women, right? Yeah. So to apologize to a woman in front of them I doubt very seriously that's going to happen. They're not just a slut to their chat, but they're a slut to their peers, because they care. These supposed men care more about what other men think about them.
Yeah. And it was like I saw from Adam Slosnick, I think that's his name. By the way, Jen, he's a Chew. Okay, he's a Chew. I'll just use that euphemism. You kind of fill in the blanks what I mean. And I was waiting on him. I thought he's waiting on you to say something about that in case you knew. And then
because I didn't know. I'd never seen him before. Yeah,
I was like, okay. My mind gets to going, and I'm like thinking of all these little fucking angles, and because these dudes, like you said, these dudes are, he, especially him. By the way, his whole thing, like Patrick Beck David, he's basically riding on the coattails of that guy. That's the only reason why he's got that show he's got. Okay, so it's not like he went out and fucking did anything on YouTube. And,
and I didn't have that information prior to, right? I was like, later I found out. I was like, he's a sidekick on a very popular show. I got it. I got it.
But anyway, I just had to get that off my chest. And, we can talk about the whole femininity, that Barbie movie and all that, and all that. But yeah, I
Yeah,
just
no,
have to get
I'm
my
over the I'm over the Barbie movie. Like I did
Okay.
Access Vegas twice, and they were humping Barbie twice, and I'm like, I'm Barbied out. I didn't see the movie. I'm not interested in seeing the movie. I said what I
Right.
had to say there. But this is even a great this topic as you bring that up, George. It still falls under feminine and masculine because I thought he was being very feminine that evening. Also, what I noticed about these guys, and I'm gonna bring up Glenn Lawrence. He called me a little earlier. I told him I was live, so I can't talk. I'm gonna address something Glenn did as well because I notice in these spaces they could dish, but they can't take. And you would think as a masculine man, which they claim to be over and over and over again, right? And I'm going to have this conversation with Glenn as well, but maybe he's watching, maybe he's not. I don't know. He did fall ill. I hope he's getting better. It looked like he was getting better because I saw him do a video. So we wish him wealth and you know what I mean, well-being. However, the next day after Access Vegas, Glenn thought it'd be funny to say that after the show, I hooked up with Adam. And then the guy in the corny Tony Montana outfit that was in Access Vegas sitting next to me had a lot of shit to talk about me, which was strange because he was sitting next to me during the Access Vegas show for 3 hours straight. Didn't say a thing to me. But I guess he felt safe away from me. And when he did Rolo's show the next day, Glenn and that man thought it would be funny to talk about I hooked up with Adam. And then Rolo didn't say much. He just let them talk or whatever, which is interesting. It is Rolo's show, but whatever. You know, he lets people have their say, just like I let people have their say on my show. But Glenn proceeded to say, I hooked up with that guy. And then the guy in the corny Tony Montana suit, he was like, oh, if she didn't hook up with him, she rubbed one out to him. So this is the thing, right? These men talk like this. But then when I respond, and here's the thing, Glenn just got married. Glenn's wife was on Access Vegas and had a very big argument with this man called Zerka. Zerka is very, very popular. He's right under, it's like Andrew Tate, Zerka, and all of them. I don't know if you guys have heard of Zerka. But Glenn's wife got into a very heated debate with Zerka on Access Vegas. And the question I have for Glenn is, did your wife hook up with Zerka after the show? Because you claim my argument with Adam was sexual tension. So maybe when Zerka kept going at your wife, maybe she got wet. Did she get wet? Because if an argument between a man and a woman means they hook up after, or there's a lot of sexual tension, then maybe your wife sees something in Zerka that she doesn't see in you. I'm just asking the question because that's the question that you asked of me and Adam. And you saw that me and Adam were our opposite ends. That's on the most opposite end that you can be. When you look at what Adam and I were doing, that's the most opposite end you can be. He was disrespectful first. He went racist first, okay? But still in all, Glenn thought it would be funny to discuss me sexually with that man. So now I'm throwing the question back to Glenn and his wife. Did his wife hook up with Zerka after their argument? Because that was a heated argument. Okay. Glenn's wife was all in Zerka's ass. So I'm just wondering, was she wet the whole time? And if she wasn't, she didn't hook up, or she did hook up, I don't know. But maybe that's where that idea comes from. I notice when men are attacking women or joking on women or try to insult women, they always go after their body or they go after them sexually. So now I'm calling you out, Glenn. Did your wife hook up with Zerka after that argument? If no, no. If yeah, it's not my business. I'm just wondering where that idea came from. It was very interesting. A couple of the guys on that panel, it's like, you know, they did the, oh, well, Jen's here, I ain't gonna say nothing, but when she's gone, I'm gonna start talking again. Like the dude in the Tony Montana, the dude in the Tony Montana suit sat next to me for 3 hours. I am talking 3 hours plus, didn't say a thing to me or about me. The next day he was on another show, had all the shit to talk about, Jen. So it's interesting. I'm used to it. I'm used to the environment. I'm used to bitch assness. I'm used to these guys cosplaying alpha. I'm used to these guys playing, you know, the biggest dick in the room. And they really not. When you break them down and they put down the TRT and the steroids, they're a bunch of punks. They really,
you take
really
away
are.
the microphone, they're no one in real life.
Yeah.
Like dead ass.
I mean,
like let's just keep this real. You take away the microphone and the followers, right? Because this is a space where the lanes can actually progress quicker than the people who aren't lanes. Like
absolutely.
I always say, social media is total revenge of the rejects, right? So the rejects are going to be able to get the followers up quick. Why?
Right.
Because there are more people who are rejects or average than not. Let's just keep it real. So there's more people who can identify with them than not. So you take away the views, you take away the microphone, and they walk in any casino or any strip in Vegas, no one's going to
Mm-hmm,
pay them any
mm-hmm.
attention. These conversations that they have are null and void. The,
Right.
the
Correct.
women that are in their life are null and void because they're only with them for their clout, their popularity. They know that. In the back of their head, they know that. And
Mhm.
that's why they're so vitriolic, because until they got the popularity and all of that stuff, they couldn't pull the same women that that's why they keep those type of women in the room.
Mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
why they don't invite intelligent. You see, Jen showed up in a pair of glasses,
And and
right?
and and what did Adam Sosnick said? I know you're a smart woman. That's one of the first things that he said to me, and that's why I was his target, because I wasn't going to sit there with triple D implants and say yes or no and nod my head and talk about I'm in a man's frame. That's why he targeted me. And here's the thing, and I want to say this really quickly because a lot of people are watching. You can run tell that to anybody I mentioned. And I truly, madly, deeply mean that. You could run tell that to anybody I mentioned. However, I'm going to say again, I don't do beef content. Okay. Had I known that I was going to go on Access Vegas and some drunk guy, okay, with little dick energy was going to attack me, I wouldn't have went on Access Vegas. Okay. I just wouldn't have done it. I don't do beef content. They're constantly beefing with each other, all the way from the top to the bottom. They're constantly beefing with each other. We don't do that here. Okay. I actually produce a show. We talk behind the scenes of what we're going to say and do. Okay. So I don't do beef content. However, feel free to go and say that. And I'm wondering, because Adam Sosnick is so, he's so deep into business with people, how would people feel that he said that racist statement? Now, I think he was well oiled because he was the only one at the table with a beer bottle. I don't know how many he threw back. But obviously, something was wrong with him, and he made me the target of it. And I'll land the plane with this. I will
Sorry.
land the... Well, I did say,
Yeah,
put the
put away your
coke down.
cocaine. Yeah.
Right. So, and I'll land the plane with this and pass the mic. I am a man's woman, a woman's man, however you want to say it. I sit divinely in my masculinity. I am obsessed with the type of man that my father was. When he walked in the room, you knew there was a fucking man in the room. He wasn't perfect, but he was true blue, a man. He didn't get in the affairs of women like I told all of them on Access Vegas, okay? And he didn't have to demand things and demand submission. That's how my father was. That is what I am used to. I am not used to these YouTube characters. I am just not. With that said, I love when people say I'm masculine. People are like, oh, no, you're mad. And they think it's an insult. It is a compliment, because what you see is my father. What you see is who I looked up to. So I'm sitting, I'm not being facetious. I really do take it as a compliment, because what you're really saying is you see me as a peer. You see me as a strong woman, and you see me very, very intimidating to you. That is what you're saying to me. You're not insulting me. I'm as feminine as they come when I have a man or whatever. So you're not insulting me. And I'll land the plane here. I can dish and I can take. I can dish and I can take. That's why I wasn't injured when Adam said what he said. I can dish and I can take. But here's the only issue I have with these lames. When I dish, they don't like it. When I dish, they can't handle it. When I dish, they want to go behind my back and talk shit. That's the only issue I have with them. Let's go mano y mano. You say some shit, I say some shit. You say some shit, I say some shit. But when I say some shit, you all go running behind my back and talking shit about me the next day and cowering and calling me out my name and cursing or whatever, or going racial on me. That is what y'all do. But when I go racial, right, and I insult the whores that you marry and sleep with, the whores that would better deal you. Because like I told Adam, he was like, oh, Andrew Tate's my friend. Nobody's your friend in this shit business. You're fucking lame. And that's why I told him, if your woman had a chance to be with Andrew Tate over you, she would kick you in the fucking ass. Because these men are lame. So again, I can dish and I can take, but make sure when you poke the bear, you're ready for the claws. That is all I'm saying. A lot of these motherfuckers like poking the bear, and when the claws come out, they can't deal with it. So, am I an enemy of any of these guys? No, they're not that important to me. We're all in the same business, right? They're not that important to me. But I did want to address that bullshit that Glenn said. You have a woman. So if your woman argues with somebody, then maybe she want to go fuck them. I don't argue with men and they want to go fuck them. Okay. So that wasn't funny to me. And I'm just reciprocating. I want to see if Glenn laughs at that, because he said that so everyone can laugh. So I want to know if your wife going with Zerka, I want to know if that's funny to you as well. And if it's not, like I said. So I will pass the mic on that. But this is great because we're talking about feminine and masculine anyway. We're already here. And I have definitions for both when we get into it. Lily?
Well, there's a lot there. Okay, first thing I want to say is when I hear a man call a woman feminine, I hear an intimidated man.
You mean
I
masculine?
Yeah, masculine.
Masculine.
I hear an intimidated man, right? What that says to me is that your you don't feel like your masculinity is enough to challenge hers, not his, hers. And there's a possibility that her masculine energy is stronger than yours. There's a possibility. And so now you feel a little threatened, right? And so they use it as an insult. But the thing is that all humans have um masculine and feminine energy. We have X and Y chromosomes. We have, I mean, and the thing is, some of us have more of one than the other, or some of us fall down like balanced in the middle. But I say for anybody, this is my problem with them. The men who have feminine energy, if they would just own that shit and not try to masquerade and cosplay as a masculine man, I think I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it. I really wouldn't. It's when they try to cosplay and they play in my face or they play in our face, I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're not that guy. You're not.
Right. Right.
You're
And the
not
thing is,
that guy.
and the thing is that it's okay if you're not that guy. But they let the pressure, right, of society get to them. And they're like, I have to have big muscles and I have to have a big wallet to be a man. And you know what I mean? I've talked, as you guys know, I'm in the film business. I've talked to guys that were part of the crew, okay, that were better men than the star I was working with. Easy. But these guys overcompensate. So as you saw, even with Adam, I'm a millionaire. When I leave here, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I got 4 million subscribers. What about you? Who are you, sir? Who are you really, sir? And I think he saw that I could see right through all that shit. And he was like, wait a minute, she's supposed to be sitting here like a bimbo and worshiping me. What did he say to me? These girls don't have a problem with me. Like, if you listen to him long enough, being that he was drunk, he told on himself. I barely had to say anything. These girls don't have a problem with me. And what did I say? Because they're treating you like their girlfriend.
Because she was giving sister girl energy. And what did she say afterward, Miss Adam? What did she say afterwards? She said, basically, oh, this was what, for views or like.
I guess that was his form of an apology.
Girl, bye. Have several seats.
Why you
I'm
mad?
talking about them white chairs. That's what I'm talking about. Them chairs. Have several of those.
The white folding chairs.
The white fold up chairs. Have those.
I just don't see it. I mean, Jen and I have had these conversations. I don't see her as this hyper masculine person. I don't know. She's just a regular New York Bronx chick. You know what I mean? They get angry, they throw things, they shoot people. You know what I mean? That's just regular Puerto Rican Bronx chick shit. I'm like,
oh my goodness.
Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't. Shit, she literally told me one time before she wants me to see her in a more masculine light, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? And I'm,
I sure did. I sure did. But you have to give that context, Ron, because people are gonna be like, she wanted me. What?
Look, listen. This is who I am.
Thought that was me.
As a man, you know what I mean? If a woman is in a room, yes, by default, I put you in a particular context, which means that if there's danger on the other side, if there's a fire I'm running into, I'm like, hey, baby, let's go. We got to go save the people in the burning building. Like, no, I'm not thinking like that. Saying, you wait
That's
here.
no saint.
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, you wait here. You know what I mean? I called No Saint or the rest of the boys. We got to go in this burning building and save the people. However, there is a particular context that I understand what she was trying to say after the conversation. She was saying more so in the context of balance. You know what I mean? Seeing her femininity, but understanding that she can fall into another, energetic space, and that be just as useful. And I understood where she was coming from with it. I hope she understood where I was coming from. You know what I mean? Just initially when I treat a woman a particular way, I'm treating a woman in the space that she's feminine. You know what I mean? Unless you just literally visually and just going out your way to out nigga me, like you leaving your dirty socks all over the goddamn floor and you rooting with me in a sports match and you burping and shit, like, you know what I mean? That's when it's like, you know what I mean? But look, listen, man, when it comes to these dudes, look, there was a week, since everybody's just talking about it, there was a fucking week where I was just really fucking upset. I was really fucking upset, and I had bigger expectations for a lot of the men, that we have come in contact with. And even she was telling me to calm down, but fuck that. Since we're just laying it out there all on the line, there was a week where I just was really disappointed in Damien, Glenn, and Don.
We naming names tonight, huh?
Since we're all just naming names tonight, I was really disappointed in these guys, man, because when Rolo...
No sayings like, I'm glad I'm not on that list.
Rolo made that very racist statement. Glenn laughed. And I approached Glenn.
Oh, you have to explain, because people are gonna be like, what was said? You know how it goes.
Rolo made a clip. The clip is gone, by the way. But he was in some sort of conversation. They were doing a live. And within this live, he said, I guess he was working with some trainers so he can teach him how to choke a nigga out.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that clip. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I saw that clip.
Learning how to choke a nigga out. And Glenn laughed.
Really? Oh, wow.
Glenn didn't check him. Glenn didn't do anything on that live. He didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I called him up. I'm like, yo, bro, you and I I admit that you and I ain't cool, but did you at least say something to him? You could have said something within that moment and be like, yo, bro, slow down. And according to him, he said something to him behind the scenes. I just left it alone after a while because it was just like we were going back and forth with it. And I realized that, you know what, this juice ain't really worth the squeeze. Plus, we were still doing business. I was really more concerned about him just actually taking care of Jenny. And that's it. I was like, this shit is just some bullshit. You ain't going to admit to this shit. Anyway, let's just call it what it is. Boom.
Let me ask you something about that. So who was the person that said it? I know Glenn didn't say it.
No, Rolo said it.
Okay.
Rolo said, I'm training with somebody so I can learn to choke a nigga out.
Because that, for me, that gives it a little bit more context, because like I've had times where someone said something, it might have been on this panel, and they used the N-word toward, and with me involved, and I laughed, and it was more out of like and then I had to think about it, like, God, that might have looked bad. I'm not co-signing with it. It's just like I'm kind of nervously laughing about it. You know what I mean? But if it's Rolo, that's totally different, because that's another white guy. It's different if it would have been a black guy. I almost cut him some slack, because sometimes you laugh or you say something, but it's just like sort of uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Different, but it's So go ahead.
Within this context, this is the reason why I tell black men oftentimes that even before that clip, I kept telling them, stop hanging around these dudes because they don't respect you.
The chat is going in.
The chat is ruthless, man. They are ruthless.
Okay, stop doing that to that dude because he doesn't, you know what I mean? Stop hanging around these dudes. Stop sucking these white men because they don't fucking respect you. You're a son doula to them. You're not going to sit there and sit at the table with them on this red pill shit. Who
are you talking to? Like, who did you say that to?
Black men. I've often said that black men, stop doing this fucking red pill shit. This is for white men. This ain't nothing but a good old boy network slapped on with a new fucking name. That's all it is. You know what I mean? But they constantly keep running behind these motherfuckers. And if he said that with the camera on, imagine what the fuck they say when the camera's off.
See, let me jump in right quick, and this is where I love me some Haran, but this is where him and I differ, right? Right. I saw Robert Peebles. Do you guys know who that is? The real estate mogul in New York City, the black real estate mogul in New York City. Okay, billionaire. Whatever, right? And I saw him during an interview one time, and he said, they asked him, how could you do business with Trump? He's this, blah, blah, blah. He was on an interview, and he said, you can't only do business with people you like. That's not business, right? And that stuck with me forever, because business is business. I don't have an issue doing business with all these cats. I don't give a fuck if they're racist. You know why? Because so am I. That is life. Human beings are tribal by nature. Right. No, but listen, you can say racist, you can say tribal. Either way, at the end of the day, it just means that I'd rather hang out with people that look like me and think like me. But for some reason, that was turned into a dirty thing. No, that's human nature. That is human nature. The cats hang out with the cats. The dogs hang out with the dogs. And every now and then you see a cat and a dog hanging out together. But for the most part, if you go out in nature, the chimps are over there. Okay, the baboons are over there. The orangutans are over there. It's not like a Disney movie where all the monkeys are hanging out together. No. Right. So I don't have an issue with that at all. I don't care. Rollo said that racist statement. I don't give a fuck, because they don't mean anything to me. Can we do business? And are you going to be able to take what you're dishing, because I can dish back? That's all I care about. Can we make some fucking money? I don't give a fuck about any of them.
There's a difference between that. You have a point. However, if you do not concentrate on having your own first and coming from a space of strength, and these motherfuckers already off jump, think of you in a subordinate manner, you're never going to be able to really perform from a space of leverage during business. This is why black people are fucked over at every which way past Sunday when it comes to doing business with white people, because they don't respect you, because you don't come in there with your own leverage and your own shit. You always coming in there with your hand fucking open. So off rip. You know what I mean? They're going to deal with you a certain way. They say racist shit about Asians, but guess what though? They do good business with Asians because there's consequences on the other side if they don't. You know what I mean? No consequences on the other side. You know what I mean? If you fuck over black people, because why? You're always coming from a space of weakness. You always want to be down. You always want to follow, and so on. Go get your own shit. Don't call it the red pill or whatever. Go get your own shit. Fix your own community. Do all that other shit. Take that Rolo shit up out of here and throw it out the fucking window. Come up with your own diatribe and your own ideas. Fuck it. Follow Farrakhan. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Just sit down and work on your own shit, man. And
but Haran, I think I want to jump in. I understand your passion. I really, really do. But my thing is, now you're asking humanity to not be humanity. The majority of human beings are cattle, okay, with a capital C, whether they're black, white, Asian, yellow, blue, black, green. The majority of humanity is cattle. And if they feel like they can suck a dick, like George said, to get sometimes not even favor, sometimes they just want to be in the room and not be targeted. Sometimes they'll suck a dick for that. It's like, if I suck a dick, no one will call me out for anything. Some people are very low ambition. And then some people are like, okay, I'm this person's peer. They're inviting me over, because that's how I saw them. I don't give a fuck how many subs you got. When I walked in that room, Rolo is my peer. I'm not his subordinate. I'm not just his guest, his bimbo guest with the big tits, okay? I'm like, we're going to have a conversation. I found out it was Barbie again. So I was like, okay, I'll fucking entertain the Barbie again. But I was there as a peer. I don't care how many subscribers you have. You want to have a conversation with me, we're gonna fucking converse. Okay. But that's not the majority of people. The majority of the girls just want to be seen next to Michael and Rolo and whoever that fuck was over there. And this fuck was sitting next to me.
This is what. Wait 1 second, Lily. So we're basically saying that the majority And I will not necessarily disagree that the majority of black men, you know what I mean, aren't in there to look to be a peer. They're just doing whatever they need to do just to be in the room. And if that's the case, then the majority of these niggas just ain't men then.
Well, feminine versus masculine tonight on the block with Jen.
Me, you know me, Jay. I ain't kissing nobody's motherfucking ass, man. I have no problem going to get mine. You know what I mean? And I will go get it. I done built mine. I done got mine.
Right, and we respect you for that. But that's not the majority.
But this is why one of my favorite parts of that exchange is when Miss Adams said to you that I gotta address a lady. I'm really, I respect pronouns. We respect pronouns around here. When she said to you something like, you didn't get in an argument with Rolo and Michael because you're on their show, and you, like, without skipping to me, I don't give a fuck. I got my own shit. I was like, thank you for saying that, because that's how I look at it too. When I meet these people in these spaces, once I enter the entertainment space, the modeling space, the acting space, I am now your peer. I don't give a fuck if I got one follower. I am looking at you as my peer. I'm not fanning out because what you make don't pay my bills. Correct. I don't give a fuck what you make. Now, if you can have it that I can trickle and I can get something from it, okay, cool. But the majority of it is that's your shit. That's not mine. Right? So, and I don't care about your stuff. So that was one of my favorite parts of the exchange.
And thank you for reminding me about that, because he did say that. But again, he's coming from a place where the majority, I'm sure, women that are around him, okay, are willing to suck a nut to be in the room or to get his money, or that is what they're willing to do. So when he said that, he was like, oh, you haven't disrespected it because they'll throw you out. And that's why I said, I don't give a fuck. I have my own show. Like, these people don't make these. You do realize this is YouTube, right? You do realize this is YouTube and everybody got one of these. Like, so that was really corny. However, when men are used to being around a certain type of woman, then hey. And with that said, there was maybe one or two women in there that I felt, you know what I mean, were holding their own. But the rest of them, there was like one or two. And one of them, she will go nameless, but one of them contacted me after, and she was glad I fucking did what I did, right? But when she was there, it was right. But behind the scenes, because they don't want to listen. My daddy's been calling me troublemaker since I was knee high to a grasshopper. That is how I am. This isn't new. I've been like this my entire life. He literally called me troublemaker as a toddler, and it just stuck. That is who I am. That is who I am. I am my father's daughter, period. And maybe that's
surprised to hear that, Jen. So surprised. So surprised. I'll say this. Now, y'all know a little bit about my background, and I told you that I know what racism looks like. I grew up under it. Okay, so when George comes out and says that dude made a racist comment, you all in the chat better take it to the bank, because I saw No Saint's eyes kind of like, whoa, but
yeah, George, if you're calling it out, it was racist.
Yeah, it was racist. So listen, I just know that I knew right away when he said that. I was like, oh shit, I've heard this before, and I know where he's coming from.
Can you imagine that shit with George? George was like, hey man, you took it too far, man.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have said that shit, man.
Yeah,
that shit is bad.
Yeah, if we can get into it, there were certain parts of what Rolo and Michael were pointing out I agreed with, but then it's like, you know how it is when somebody's got a good argument and then they fuck it all up with everything.
Yes, and it was a lot of that night.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of the ladies I was impressed was, and I'm always like this, whether I agree with you or disagree with you. And it's one of the reasons I love you guys, is that y'all tell it the way you see it, and you're honest, whether I agree with your point of view or not. And so it was that Italian lady down at the very end. She says, hey, I'm a porn star, not, hey, I'm a hoe, and I know it, and I was like, well, okay, you're owning it.
She sure did own it. And you notice that's who he invited to his show. He was like, oh, you should come on my show. Yeah. Someone said, oh my God, the folding chair. someone is disagreeing with Haran. Haran, you wrong, bro. There's a Black manosphere that speaks for the community. You're talking about the MGTOW bullshit. That was for the whites.
Okay, well, they don't speak loud enough.
Yeah.
Because clearly,
and I don't listen. I don't.
Listen, I just want to say that, Jen, a better comparison than we have chimpanzees and orangutans would be we have like blue jays and gray jays. The gray jays hang out with the gray jays. The blue jays hang out with the blue jays. They can all mate and still have some kind of a jay.
He's here all week, folks.
It's not chimpanzee and orangutan because that's two different. They're not in the same area.
You had to be PC. You had to make sure you was PC on tonight on this Good Wednesday.
I mean, well, it's tomato. My point was that everybody
tomatoes don't mate with tomatoes. No. Tomatoes don't hate with tomatoes.
We're all fucking.
Yeah, we had to deal with this for like a week and a half, folks. We really did have to do it.
And George, I agree with you. I've listened to Rollo, and I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's true. Blah blah. I don't agree with everything, but I don't agree with everybody with anybody about everything, right? Not even my own parents. Michael, same thing. Like he'll say certain things, and if you notice, when we had the back and forth, like Michael and I or Rollo and I, they're talking, I'll disagree or they'll disagree, and then I listen and they listened. Right? That's how it was. Like sometimes Michael is like, well, no, Jen, it's because blah, blah, blah. And if it's interesting, I'm like, okay, let me ponder that for a moment. Right. There was no argument or debate because I'm like, well, that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then I'm going to say it. But if it makes sense, I'm going to be like, okay, all right, I'll take that. And that's how it was.
When you and I go back and forth, and it's in that same vein. Which you're very consistent when you even said it on the show. I think you did. You said, look, if you're like straight up with me, I'm straight with you. But if you bring me that energy, I'm going to give it right back to you because you were talking about your show. And I was like, yeah. And the other thing I was going to point out, I think everybody gets this, but Adam Sosnick really showed himself to be a misogynist. He said this comment right at the very end. He says, I like that I'm not hosting the show because when I'm hosting the show, I got to basically, I'm paraphrasing him, but I got to patronize and kiss their ass because I want them to come back. But on this show where I'm just a guest, I can tell a woman, how did he put it? Basically, he can basically tell you.
He can bash women. He can bash women. He can bash women.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. In other words, what we saw that night was what he really is.
Right. Correct.
And so, So I don't give a shit what he says from here on about how he supports women or whatever the fuck he does.
Right.
No, he plays cards for me.
I've seen him on the show that he's a sidekick on, and I saw it there. I see it there often. I've never liked that man. He's always rubbed me the wrong way. It's very rare that I'll agree with him because he's just so stupid. He may know finance or whatever, but when it comes to common sense, and you can tell he doesn't have a lot of life experience. And so when someone is saying something so stupid, but when they're saying it loud and with gusto, you're just like, okay, you're the worst kind. You're the worst kind of stupid, because just loud and wrong. And even on that show, there's a lot that I like about the show, but he's one of the things I don't like about the show. And I don't, there's things I don't agree with them as well, but him, it's just something about him that always rubs me the wrong way.
And some men can't handle he's failed in finance. And some men just don't know how to deal with being challenged is what I got from it. They don't know how to deal with being challenged, because if you notice, he kept trying to throw women in my face that agree with him. Did you notice that? He was like, well, on my show, if I tell Nat to be quiet, she's going to be quiet. And I was like, the fuck I care about somebody named Nat? I don't even know who you're talking about. It's like, so it seems like he can't function unless he's dealing with mousy women. So then again, he was like, look at these girls. They don't have a problem with me. I'm like, he kept like trying to insist that he's somebody that you should be submissive to. And I'm like, that's not how submissive works. It's not how it works.
Let me understand this. So a woman is masculine if she I don't know, sticks up for herself, if she defends herself, if
Well,
she,
that's why I said. Well,
Yes.
that's why I said everybody has a different definition, and it makes me laugh when I hear these men in these spaces. So you're masculine, and let's listen. The thumbnail, tongue in cheek. I'm being facetious. I know I'm not a masculine woman. I'm just a strong woman, right? So you know, I laugh at these guys because I think back to my dad, and I'm like, my dad would never see a woman as his equal, right? Biologically, just not. Women are women, men are men. My dad would never fix his face to say, "Oh, you're being masculine," because that would mean my father saying, "Although you're feminine and you're a woman, I see you as an equal to me." That is what these men don't realize that they're saying in these spaces when they call women masculine. Then because they're men, right? They're masculine. What they're actually saying is, "Oh my God, like you're what I am." What man would say that? What man sitting in his frame would tell a woman, "You're what I am"? Because essentially that is what you're saying. Hence, it is not an insult to her. It is an insult to you, sir. It is an insult to you, not to her. And that's why it's funny to me. That's why it's funny to me.
it's just amazing because I'm sure a number of these red pill alpha male manosphere guys, when the camera's off, they're out getting, I don't know, pegged and plugged by their
Oh, you
feminine,
know they are. Oh, you know they are.
feminine and friendly women. They're getting plugged and told.
He's actually listen. He's actually the one that probably rubbed one out when he left after the argument. After
So
the
you know,
argument with me, he
it's
did.
just it's just these dudes. It's just like, come on, man. It just can't be this serious. Someone just has an opinion. Okay, she's not chopping firewood. She's not,
Right.
she's not chewing
Rotating tires.
exactly chewing tobacco. You know what I mean? Farting and shit like that. Like, what is this, man?
Never.
Well, before they started calling women who stood up for themselves masculine, they were calling them bitches. That's why
So that's
whenever I would hear it switched, it's been rebranded, right? That's why whenever I would hear someone say that about a woman, I always look at for with a grain of salt because I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it with my own eyes that when I've seen men try women the way that they would never try another man, and when that woman stands up for herself, she's then a bitch. But now
Mm-hmm.
she's now called masculine. I've seen it with my own eyes a million times, and I'm like, all she did was say, "I'm not going for that. That's not right."
Oh, I disagree.
I disagree. I mean, literally, and a woman of color, then they're going to give you masculine, angry black woman, angry Latina, all of those things because you're not allowed to stand up for yourself. You're not allowed to disagree.
Now,
Mm.
So
look, listen. Jay and I have had our arguments, many arguments, and look, I will sit here and tell you this. You know what I mean? She's a passionate person. Yes. Does she have anger issues? Yes. You know what I mean? Can she troll sometimes during the conversation where you're just trying to get to a point? Yes. You know what I mean? However, overall, she expresses herself, which is nothing's wrong with that. She comes with sensible points. And the last thing is, at the end of the day, she doesn't go out looking for trouble.
I really don't. But when it finds me,
Let me tell you something. Coming from the hood, anytime motherfuckers look for you, that means you a threat.
he did target me. George saw it.
If a motherfucker look at you and they feel uncomfortable, you know what I mean, and so on, something's going on in him. Like the moment the podcast ran, and I saw him, and I saw how he was addressing everybody, I said to myself, this guy's going to be a problem. I don't know who this guy is, but he's going to be a problem.
Yeah, well,
I
he
saw
could. I mean, you saw him talking to the other women. Whenever a woman would try to speak, he would be like, "Shush!" Like he gave him the hand, like "Shush," and then he was like, "I'm gonna pick on you, and I'm gonna pick on you." And then when it came to me, it was like, "Yeah, that's yeah."
and you know
I'm
why
not
I
one of
said
them.
he was going to be a problem? Because he needed to be that guy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
He needed to be that guy. I saw it
sorry.
in the mannerisms. I saw it in
I was
the.
the guy in that room.
He needed to be that guy in the room. Anytime you got a guy like that who needs to be that dude in the room, he's always overcompensating.
Yeah, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And listen, the night could have been so cool. Like it really
Yeah.
could have been cool. I thought it was a funny back and forth. I thought it was entertaining. I'd work with Rolo again. I'd work with Michael Sartain again. But you know, they would have like going back to what George said, they would have to be fair. They would have to be fair because their dude was on the ropes and they threw in the towel for him. And that's not fair. It's just not fair. Let's all be grown. Let's all be grown and sexy. Okay. That was
All right,
whack.
let's head over to Lily's.
All
George,
right.
thank you
George,
so
are
much.
you
All
gonna
right, y'all have a
George,
good
are you
one. All
gonna
right.
Okay. Thank you, George. Thank you so much.
All right. I'll see y'all later.
Take
All
care of
right.
yourself.
Good night.
Over to
Bye,
Lily's.
George.
That is the after show.
Okay, so let me explain to the chat every night for the next couple months even. On the Block with Jen is going to be una hora, 1 hour, and then we're going to go to the channel of either Lily, No Saint, or Haran. Okay, you got that? Don't say that you didn't know. I'm gonna put it in my community tab too. It's in my community tab. The link is in the chat right now. If you're catching this late or you're catching the replay, the link is in my community tab for Lily's channel. 1 hour on the Block with Jen, and then the next hour on the rest of the panel's channels. But you have to pay attention to whose channel we're going to after my show. Last night it was No Saint. Tonight is Lily's page. The link is right there in the chat. The link is also in my community tab. We're headed over there right now. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here. And thank you for following us to the after show. Okay. We really need you for this. We need your support. Thank you for the chat. Y'all held us down. You had me dying. I was trying to concentrate, but y'all was going in tonight. So we will see you on Lily's page in a minute. Hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Don't forget, if you want to support the show after the fact, buy me a smoothie, Cash App on the Block with Jen. We'll see you on Lily's in a minute.
Good night.